Hey, lovelies. Welcome to Choices with Chichi. My name is Chiagoziem Adindu if I'm just meeting you for the first time. And I just want to say that you chose a fantastic time to stop by because it's about to get really real in here. And if you've always been here inspiring and encouraging me, just validating this vision, thank you so much for stopping by again. And to be honest, it's in this month, we're going to have fun. We are literally going to have fun, and I'm not joking about it, honestly. Happy new month. Happy new month, guys. Welcome to the month of love. And everything we have for you in January is going to be about love. But it's not the fairy tale kind of love, it's the tough love kind of love story that we'll be sharing. And I'm saying we because myself, my husband, and a couple we absolutely love will be sharing our experiences throughout the month of February on what we have tagged distant marriage. So whatever you do, married or not, you do not want to miss out on these installments. So this particular video, today's video, which I have titled to Japa or not, is basically a prequel to the three-part series that you'll be watching for the rest of February. And it's I feel like God wants to do something in some marriages. I feel like God wants to bring clarity to some people who are in a state of dilemma, trying to decide, what to do with this feeling that they have. Sometimes it's just the quest for greener pastures. For others, it's more than that. It's passion, it's purpose, it's calling, and you have your fears. Well, I'm hoping that with today's prequel and the other three installments, that your fears are assuaged and you get some measure of clarity. That you're able to an extent, to a reasonable extent, count the cost of their decision, weigh it against a lot of factors, and then make an informed decision. For today's video, I will be talking to three categories of people generally, and then I'll narrow it down to couples, right? Because of the kind of information I have and the questions people throw at us, myself and my husband, and then our friends, I feel like I want to speak to couples mostly at the end of this video. Right. And I'm sure someone is listening and saying, what's Japa? My brother, my sister. Japa is a word in Nigeria that we use to describe or capture the massive migration of skilled workers and individuals generally from Nigeria to other parts of the world. And it's not just in Nigeria, it's happening in some other countries, right? But over a period of time, for some time now, there has been a massive, migration and exodus of people seeking different opportunities and leaving the country, and we call it Japa, right? And so I'm going to be speaking to three categories of people generally. Category one, people who are living but not jackpot. And I'm saying this because there's just the assumption that if you're going abroad, you jackpot. Everybody's not jackpot. And I want to speak to that person who knows that they did not quite jackpot, that your desires are valid, your vision is valid. And I'm saying this because I have had a lot of conversations with people who, when they were leaving, had a particular mindset. And that mindset was maybe I wanted to go to school or I wanted to get some form of international exposure and get back to my country. But there is so much pressure on me to not come back from family and from friends. I literally had someone say, they said if I come back, people will mock me. And to be honest, I kind of experienced something similar to that because I spent summer in Nigeria last year. And a lot of people were just shocked. Like, why did you come back home? Like, the rest of us are looking for how to leave and you're coming back. Why? Our paths are different. Okay, our paths are very, very different. And it's okay for some people, it's even okay not to know what this season is. Some people are still in a state of dilemma. It's like, I'm not quite sure if I want to go, I'm testing the waters. I'm very much undecided right now. But I want that person, and I've had a lot of conversations with people like this. I need you to not succumb to the pressure. You don't have to follow the trend. Your path is different. Your calling is different. Your track, your journey, there is nothing conformist about you. So try as much as possible to stick to the plan, stick to God's purpose, stick to God's direction amidst the pressure. Because it will be so unfortunate if at the end of the day, you are not in God's timing or purpose for your life because of peer pressure, because of family pressures, right? So whatever it is, I need you to know that you're not alone and that we understand. And I'm saying this just to make someone know that you're not crazy for feeling that way. There are people who are tied to their countries. There are people who are lovers of their countries, as in quote, broken as they might seem. There are people whose passions revolve around rebuilding. And to be honest, I feel like there are people who have been called to rebuild the ruined walls. So if you're that category, I stand with you and I want to encourage you. I want to salute you for your resolve. And I want you to know that it's okay if God is calling you into that. Okay? Category number two, people who have decided we are jackpying. Look, if I just leave the shores of this country, you will not see my brake light again. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm doing it for my children so that they have options." Some say I'm just doing it to get, look, I'm looking for greener pastures. I'm looking for security. I'm looking for, some form of certainty. So whatever your reason is, I want to encourage you. Don't let people guilt trip you. Your reasons are also valid. Don't let anybody make you feel like, you too, you want to go. Who will now remain? Look, I know this is such a harsh thing to say, but the country has always been there to be fine, whether you're there or not. So I want to use this opportunity to release you from the guilt you are feeling, from the shame you are low key carrying. Like, hey, God, maybe I've told people I'm not Japa, and now I want to Japa. Is like, how do I now do it? It's okay. And to every other person watching them, you need to free them, leave them alone, and let people do what they want to do. For some people, it's just adventure. I'm not even sure, but I just know I'm tired of where I am. And to be honest, guys, a lot of people have been doing these things before it even became a thing. Now, people were leaving countries and seeking, greener pastures, newer experiences, adventures before now. So can we, taper down on the pressure and the judgments and the criticisms and the guilt we're making people feel as they're making major decisions concerning their lives or the lives of their loved ones, right? So please be free to do what you want to do. And the third category, those who are saying, if I die here, I die here. You guys are brave and courageous, and I love it. I love it. I have a friend, or my husband and I have these friends of ours who are like, God hasn't said anything, and so we're here. We feel that God has called us to Nigeria. And by the way, I also found out that there are certain people who are leaving their countries. And you guys need to believe me because it's true. They are leaving their countries because they feel like God has called them to Nigeria. So for people who have resolved to stay back, you guys are amazing, honestly. And for me, there is nothing as beautiful as knowing what God requires of you, knowing what you're supposed to do, not being moved by the trend. Just that sense of knowing that keeps you grounded, the courage, the boldness to stick to your plan, as uncomfortable as it might seem, as not so trendy as it might look. Amazing. I love it. And that's to say that whatever your choice is, and whatever decision you're taking to Japa, not to Japa, to go and come, or just not go at all, you are brave, you are courageous, it's beautiful, and I stand with you. I stand with you absolutely. So please stay with your decision. I honestly pray that whatever your decision is and whatever you choose to do, that at the end of the day you are convinced without an iota of doubt that you are where God wants you to be and you're doing what he wants you to be doing. And that for me is the most important thing. Because whatever path you choose will not be without trials and tribulations, as well as joys and happiness. But when those trials and tribulations come, I want you to know, I want you to just have that knowing that keeps you grounded and keeps you assured that God sent me. And that for us was like the basis of our decisions. That's something that kept us going through the tough times. We just knew that we were in God's timing and purpose for our lives, and that was it. It didn't take away the problems. It didn't take away the issues we had to go through. It just made it more bearable. It helped us know that there was a foreseeable end to our trials, or our tribulations, or our hardship, as it were. Right? So those three categories. Now I want to zero in on couples, people who are considering, making some major life decisions that would affect their family, especially as it concerns relocation or being apart. Especially also if your path or if your journey requires being away from your family or your spouse or your children. This video or this part of the video is for you. This is for someone who is asking, do I pursue purpose and passion? When is it time? At what cost? What happens to our marriage? What do we do with the children? How do we know it's God's will for us? I won't know. And at the end of the day, you're going to be making this decision yourself. However, I'm going to be sharing 5 things that helped us that I think would help you massively if you can put them into practice or if you can do them. Number one, you need to find out what your family values are side by side with your family mission and vision. And I remember that I had done a video on family mission and vision, and I will post, the link up there. So this is a time where you sit down with your significant other and you ask yourselves what really matters to us. And I feel like this is one question that my husband and I consistently ask ourselves. My love, what matters? What matters to us? What are we doing? How does it align with our vision? How does it align with the mission our family and our marriage is supposed to be serving? How does it affect our values? Our values are like our compass, they determine which directions we go. They help us make up our minds when we come into places and spaces where we have to make very difficult decisions. So you need to sit down with your significant other and find out what your personal values are and what your marital values are. Tip number 2, get a PhD in yourself. And this is something, if you hear me speak a lot, you hear me say it a lot. You need to know you. You need to know who you are. Begin to study yourself, know your strengths and your weaknesses. I remember that, oh, and this is hilarious, but I remember that before now, I would say to anybody's face that when couples are not living together, that one is not marriage. And I don't know who else has said it, but I want to just let you know that in this life, never say never. Oh. Never say never, because life can happen. But the point I'm making is, I didn't know that this part of me existed. I didn't know I would ever be comfortable or get to a season in my life where I would feel like it's okay. Not necessarily feel like it's okay, but I would be okay to an extent, living away from my spouse for an extended period of time, right? But the point is, know yourself, know what you can take and you can't take. And this is for both of you as individuals. Because when you're making or you're planning to make a major decision like this, someone needs to say, I don't think I can cope, or I think I can cope. And very much tied to that is, you need to also give yourself opportunity to learn yourself. So know yourself means know what you become aware of what you know about yourself, but also give yourself an opportunity to learn. In other words, make space for growth. And I feel like this season where my husband and I are not consistently together has been a period of growth. I didn't know it was going to happen, but now that we are here, we are having to grow into this reality and manage it properly. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, please seek counsel. This is a major decision. And even without Japa, the devil is on a rampage as it concerns families. So even if you don't go anywhere, you know that the devil is just not very comfortable with the fact that you're leaving to cleave and that you guys are building an amazing union that is serving the purpose of heaven and the kingdom as a whole. So if you're considering relocation of any kind, you want to make sure that you are seeking counsel. One of the ways to seek counsel is to stay glued to this channel and soak in the next 3 installments that would follow this one. Because like I said earlier on, we'll be talking about distant marriage. Seek counsel from people who have gone ahead of you and ask them for their candid opinions. Ask them to share their stories with you. And then from there, you can now decipher if this is a step you want to take and if this journey, is for you guys or not. Tip number 4 is what I call do an integrity test. So my husband is a construction engineer, he's a civil engineer. And one of the things he has to do on his job is what is called an integrity test. And it's basically something they do for buildings or when they are erecting shafts. So the idea of an integrity test is that when they do it or build stuff up to a certain degree, they use a Smith hammer and they begin to bang it gradually at first and then more intense over a period of time. And what they're trying to do is basically to say, is this thing strong enough to carry the weight of, if whatever it's supposed to carry? If it's something that's supposed to carry 1 million pounds, will it buckle under the weight of 500 or will it actually get to 1 million? So it's just that thing that checks the strength of a structure. So do an integrity test of your marriage. In other words, evaluate the strength of your marriage and be brutally honest about it. It's an integrity test. Ask yourself certain questions. How good is our communication? And I'm starting with communication because this is an aspect we do not talk a lot about. Are we good communicators? Is this an area of growth for us? Are we okay the way we are? Or do we need to work more on our communication? Because if you're going to be doing this type of relationship, that's all you have. Normally, without even doing anything, without having to stress your marriage, communication is to your marriage or to any other relationship what blood is to the body. So imagine how much communication your relationship will need if you're apart. So barest minimum, are we fantastic? And then do we need to put certain systems and structures in place for this thing we're about to do? Number two, test your ability to trust each other. And that one too, for me, goes to the foundation of your relationship. Is there a lot of trust? Do you trust yourself? Mm-hmm. Do you trust yourself? And how much trust do you have in your spouse? Test your friendship. How did you guys, meet? How friendly are you with each other? To be honest, these are questions you need to ask. You don't even have to answer it with your spouse, but it just should be brewing in your heart. At the end of the day, when all is said and done, how friendly are we? It's not about love. Love is commitment, yes, but how much of this friendship do we even have in this marriage? And then the last question you want to ask yourself for the integrity test: how much of the fear of God do we have? You see this point, I put it last, but it's the most important one. At the end of the day, the degree to which you're committed to your marriage is directly proportional to the degree to which you fear God. Simple. So if you are not sure how submissive your spouse is to God or you are to God, then you want to start checking it and you want to start working on it. So that's tip number 4. Do an integrity test on communication, your friendship, your trust level, and how much you fear God, how much of the knowledge of God you have, and how it translates to your reverence of Him as it concerns your marriage. And the last tip, you must pray. To be honest, you and your spouse must see God's face to say, Abba, is this what you want from us? It's such a huge decision, and it goes to the very roots of your foundation. Is so delicate a decision that it can swing towards life and swing towards death in the same minute. It's so sensitive. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Lean not on trends. Lean not on the ways people have been doing things. But in all your ways, acknowledge Him and He will direct your path. Proverbs 16, verse 3 and verse 9 say it in different ways, but the bottom line is commit your plans to God and He will make your ways prosperous. To be honest, not everybody is cut out for this journey. Not everybody. And I know it's a hard thing to say. And I know it feels weird because you're looking at me like, yeah, easy for you to say. But not everybody is cut out for this journey. So you want to see God's face and ask Him if that is the plan He has for you. And receive peace with whatever answer He gives you. Receive courage too with whatever answer He gives you. And do the next right thing. I don't know if this has helped anybody. So, like I said, this video is just basically to encourage someone out there who is in a valley of indecision and who is trying to make sense of this. I wish we had access to more videos like this that would help us count the cost and just share real life stories, not holding back anything at all, right? I feel like we would have been more informed, made better choices, just been able to count the cost and decide. We have no regrets with decisions we have made, myself and our friends you would see subsequently. It's just that we felt that now it would be fantastic to use this opportunity to help other people on this journey. So if you haven't subscribed, it's a fantastic time to click that subscription button. Share this message. Let's build anticipation for what's about to drop next week over the weekend. And in the meantime, remain blessed. Keep praying, and we'll keep praying for you guys. We are super passionate about marriages. We hate to see love end. I am so committed to love, and anybody that knows me knows I love love. Don't be in a haste to make any decision. Take your time. Life is not ending, and it looks like, Canada will soon close their borders. Oh, this is happening. Receive peace to sit with God until He decides that it's okay or not okay, until you hear something concrete and you can make a very informed decision. Stay glued because it promises to be an amazing time. Every bit worth your time and data. And just share this. Let's build anticipation together. I hope this video blessed you. I'll see you next week. God bless you. Cheers. Bye.